welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you another figure from the retro collection for Star Wars. This one, however, is tucked away in a board game. And I'm sorry, this is probably really reflective because it's got saran wrap on it, but this is the Escape from Death Star game that you are forced to buy if you want to get Grand Moff Tarkin. So this is not a review of this board game, this is a review of the figure, but in order to review this figure, I must show you the board game, just briefly. Let me take off the saran wrap here and see how it's packaged. I'm kind of curious, and for anybody who doesn't get this might be curious as well. Also on the back, it shows you what it comes with. There's a little picture of Tarkin. Opening it up, okay, it's packaged real nice. Looks like this. So I believe you just lift up this cardboard thing and you can get the figure out. Yeah, because he's packaged totally individually. The only thing that sucks is if you want to have an opened version of this Tarkin, just like to display like this, you're going to have to buy 2 board games. So that's kind of pointless, but that's the way they do it. Not sure why Hasbro decided to put Tarkin in a board game, but as for those of you who don't know, Tarkin was a really highly sought after figure during the vintage collection, and they never made him. Kenner sold out to Hasbro, and then Hasbro made him later in the Power of the Force, and that's actually the first Tarkin figure. So this was definitely a kind of a fan pandering, but totally fine. That's what toy companies are supposed to do. They're supposed to, you know, pay attention to what people want, and people have wanted this figure for years, a vintage collection Tarkin. I remember when these figures got released, people didn't like them, but they're like, if they made a retro Tarkin, I'd buy it, and then sure enough, they released images for this, and then of course people complained that it was in the board game, but I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too most times. I really like this guy. The board game's not crazy. It's only $20, and it's a game, I guess, if you want to play it. I mean, if you already have it, that sucks, but I personally don't mind. I almost want to pick up another Tarkin because the great thing about it being in a board game is it's almost like guaranteed that you're going to get a really minty version of this Tarkin. Obviously, if you've watched my other videos, my other Star Wars figures have had really bad card damage just in shipping. This one is totally perfect. So that is something to be said. So let me move this board game off my lap and we'll get into this Tarkin review. Alrighty, looking closer at this card back, it is a retro style of what the original Star Wars card backs looked like. However, this is not a replica of one because Grand Moff Tarkin was never made in the original vintage figure line. So this is just whatever I guess they thought that they maybe would do. Not sure if Hasbro had any, like, what do they call it? Preview images? Prototype, like concept sketches of maybe a Tarkin figure that Hasbro used. I don't know if Kenner had those, but we do get this card back, and then of course the Hasbro-ized back. So without further ado though, let's go ahead and break into this guy and review for the first time ever a retro Tarkin. I don't know. Alrighty, and here is Tarkin. He does come with a blaster, and it actually fits better in his hand than any of the other retro collection figures' weapons have fit in their hands. It is a Stormtrooper blaster. If you're curious about the details of it, you can Google it, I guess. Or you can look on my other Stormtrooper review where I go over the blaster in more detail. It's a plain black piece of plastic. It's nothing crazy. The important thing is Grand Moff Tarkin here, which I think looks so cool. He is adorable in vintage form. It's so cool to see a figure that you've never seen before in vintage form. Me personally, and don't rip my head off for this, but I think it would be cool to see like prequel figures in this format, just because this is such a unique format. Of course, people will be like, no, but I think it's kind of a cool concept. So this is probably the only figure that we'll see like this that wasn't originally made from that time period that has been remade and reimagined, I guess, into this stylized version. But I really like Tarkin's face. It looks really good. I obviously have nothing to compare it to that's really similar because the Power of the Force figures are very different. But I think he looks great. They got his hairline down, the gray hair looks really good. They keep going with the monochromatic kind of scheme, which the original figures had. You know, when you start getting up into Empire Strikes Back, like the 1985 figures, they start getting a little bit more detailed, but the original, like, A New Hope figures are very plain for the most part. But that's fine. I think overall he looks really good. I like his little rank right there, and then he's got those like little pins on the sides of his jacket. They're capsules, they're like ID tokens. They're not colored, but they are printed, which is fun. And then obviously you go down to his little galliaskins, and they're pointy. like that, like Germans, old World War II German pants. And then of course he's got his black boots. On the back here, you've got the information. Obviously, nobody's going to get away with making this out to be an original figure, so no worries about scalping on this end. But he looks really cool. His hand holds the blaster really well, probably because it's been designed in current times, and so better mold applications, and they could do whatever they wanted technically with this figure. But he is 5-point of articulation, so he has a swivel head, arms, and legs. So there he is. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review and this whole set of retro reviews. I have had a blast showing you them, and it's been really, really fun to open them and look at something that would be like have been brand new in the 1970s. So I hope you enjoyed it as well, guys, and thank you as always for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. We will continue back with what else I have bought, and that's normal and random. So stay tuned for those, guys. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.